110. The extravagance competition between Shi Chong and Wang Kai. After Emperor Sima Yang, Jin Wudi, unified China, he indulged himself in a life of luxury and decadence. Under his influence, the court officials began to flaunt their wealth, believing that extravagant displays were a sign of status and prestige. During this period in Luoyang, the capital of the Western Jin dynasty, three men were particularly renowned for their immense wealth. Yang Xiu, the commander of the imperial guards. Wang Kai, the emperor's uncle and grand general of the rear. Shi Chong, a court official and chief attendant. Although Yang Xiu and Wang Kai held higher positions and had greater political influence, they could not match Shi Chong in terms of wealth. Shi Chong's wealth, built on corruption and plunder. No one knew exactly how much wealth Shi Chong possessed. However, the origins of his fortune were well known. He had previously served as the governor of Jingzhou, where he not only heavily taxed the people but also engaged in outright robbery. When foreign envoys or merchants passed through Jingzhou, Shi Chong would send his men to extort, rob, and even murder them, much like a pirate on land. Through these means, he amassed an unimaginable fortune, collecting vast amounts of gold, silver, jewels, and treasures, making him one of the wealthiest individuals of his time. When Shi Chong arrived in Luoyang, he heard that Wang Kai was famous for his wealth, and he wanted to outshine him. The luxurious competition begins. Shi Chong learned that Wang Kai used malt sugar water to wash his cooking pots, a sign of extravagance. Unwilling to be outdone, Shi Chong ordered his kitchen staff to use candles as firewood for cooking. When this news spread, people marveled at Shi Chong's extravagance, declaring that his wealth surpassed Wang Kai's. Unwilling to accept defeat, Wang Kai staged an even more lavish display. He lined both sides of a 40-mile-long road leading to his mansion with purple silk screens, forming a majestic passageway. Anyone who visited Wang Kai's home had to walk through these 40 miles of silk, leaving all of Luoyang in awe. Seeing this, Shi Chong was determined to surpass Wang Kai once again. He extended the silk passageway to 50 miles, using even more expensive brocade fabric. His display was grander and more luxurious, leaving Wang Kai defeated once again. The emperor gets involved. Despite his loss, Wang Kai was unwilling to give up. He sought help from his nephew, Emperor Sima Yang, who found the competition amusing. To aid Wang Kai, the emperor gifted him a rare 2-foot-tall coral tree from the imperial collection. With the emperor's support, Wang Kai became more confident in his wealth. He invited Shi Chong and other officials to a grand banquet at his mansion. During the feast, Wang Kai boasted to his guests, "I have an extremely rare treasure, a magnificent coral tree. Would you like to see it?" The guests eagerly nodded. Wang Kai ordered his servants to bring it out. The 2-foot-tall coral tree, with its perfectly balanced branches and stunning pink-red hues, left the audience in awe. Everyone praised it as a priceless treasure. Shi Chong destroys the coral tree. Only Shi Chong remained unimpressed, smirking coldly at the display. He noticed a heavy iron rui, a ceremonial scepter, nearby, casually picked it up, and with a light tap, smashed the coral tree into pieces. Crack! The exquisite coral shattered, leaving the entire banquet in stunned silence. The officials gasped in shock, and Wang Kai turned red with rage, shouting, You, what are you doing?" Shi Chong, grinning mischievously, shrugged nonchalantly and said, "No need to be upset. I'll replace it for you." Still furious, Wang Kai retorted, "Fine. Then show me how you'll replace it." Without hesitation, Shi Chong sent his servants back home, ordering them to bring his coral collection. A short while later, his men returned, carrying dozens of coral trees, some 3 or 4 feet tall, and even some twice the height of Wang Kai's coral. Each tree was perfectly shaped, gleaming with brilliance, completely outclassing Wang Kai's broken coral. The guests were speechless, and Wang Kai finally realized that Shi Chong's wealth was far beyond his imagination. Defeated, he admitted his loss. Thus, the ridiculous competition of extravagance came to an end, and Shi Chong became the undisputed symbol of wealth in Luoyang. The court's outrage and the decline of Jin. As news of their wasteful competition spread, a high-ranking minister, Fu Xian, submitted a petition to Emperor Sima Yang, condemning such lavish excesses. In his report, Fu Xian warned, This level of extravagance is more dangerous than natural disasters. When unchecked luxury is not punished but instead celebrated, the empire is bound for ruin. However, Emperor Sima Yang ignored the warning, continuing to plunder wealth and indulge in luxury, just like Shechong and Wang Kai. With such deep-rooted corruption and decadence, it was only a matter of time before the Western Jin dynasty fell into chaos. 111. Zhu Chu eliminates the three scourges. During the Western Jin dynasty, while corrupt officials like Wang Kai and Shechong were indulging in extravagant lifestyles, there were also groups of aristocratic scholars who engaged in idle philosophical debates, known as pure discussions, which were often divorced from reality. Many of these scholars were highly respected and held prestigious positions, further reflecting the decadence of the era. However, there were still a few upright and diligent officials, one of whom was Zhu Chu. When Zhu Chu served as the governor of Guanghan, modern-day Guanghan, Sichuan, he cleaned up decades of corruption, resolving cases that had remained unsettled for 30 years. Later, he was promoted to imperial censor, in the capital, where he boldly investigated crimes, even if they involved imperial relatives. The infamous youth of Zhu Chu. Zhu Chu was originally from Yixing, Eastern Wu, modern-day Yixing County, Jiangsu. In his youth, he was tall and extraordinarily strong, but his father died early, and he grew up unruly and undisciplined. Instead of studying, he wandered the streets, frequently picking fights and even wielding knives and weapons. The people of Yixing feared him greatly. At the time, the region also suffered from two major threats. A ferocious white-striped tiger lurking in the southern mountains, frequently attacking villagers and livestock. A giant water serpent, a mythical crocodilian creature, hiding beneath Long Bridge, emerging unpredictably to cause destruction. Because of Zhu Chu's violent behavior, the people of Yixing listed him alongside the tiger and the serpent, calling them the three scourges of Yixing. Of these three, the one the people feared the most was Zhu Chu himself. Zhu Chu learns the truth. One day, as Zhu Chu walked through the town, he noticed that everyone looked gloomy. Curious, he approached an elderly man and asked, "The harvest is good this year. Why does everyone look so troubled?" The old man grumbled in frustration. "How can we be happy when the three scourges are still here?" Hearing this for the first time, Zhu Chu was puzzled and asked, "What are these three scourges you speak of?" The old man scoffed. "The white-striped tiger in the southern mountains, the water serpent beneath Long Bridge, and you." Determined to prove himself, Zhu Chu was shocked. He never realized that the villagers saw him as an equal threat to deadly beasts. After a moment of silence, he made up his mind and said, "If everyone suffers because of these three scourges, then I will eliminate them myself." The next day, Zhu Chu armed himself with a bow, arrows, and a sword, and headed into the mountains to find the tiger. Deep in the forest, he suddenly heard a thunderous roar. A white-striped tiger sprang out from the underbrush. Zhu Chu leaped aside, taking cover behind a tree, then drew his bow and fired. The arrow pierced the tiger's forehead, killing it instantly. Zhu Chu returned to the village with the good news. A group of hunters went to retrieve the dead tiger, and the villagers celebrated his success. Zhu Chu, however, remained unsatisfied. He said, "Wait, there's still the serpent." The fight against the water serpent. The following day, Zhu Chu changed into a tight-fitting outfit, armed himself with his bow and sword, and dived into the river beneath Long Bridge. Lurking deep in the waters, the giant serpent sensed movement and lunged toward him with its fangs bared. Zhu Chu, having anticipated the attack, thrust his sword into the beast's body, wounding it severely. The injured serpent fled downstream, but Zhu Chu relentlessly pursued it. If it surfaced, he followed it up. If it dove deeper, he chased it into the depths. Their struggle lasted for miles. For 3 days and nights, Zhu Chu did not return. The villagers rejoiced too soon. As days passed without news of Zhu Chu, the townspeople began to believe he had died in battle. At first, they mourned his bravery. But soon, they realized that with both Zhu Chu and the beasts gone, all three scourges had been eliminated. They rejoiced, celebrating his apparent death just as much as they had celebrated the deaths of the tiger and the serpent. People congratulated each other in the streets, relieved to be rid of their greatest troublemaker. a changed man. But on the fourth day, Ju Chu returned alive and victorious. The villagers were astonished. He explained that after a long pursuit, the serpent had lost too much blood and was unable to move, allowing him to finish the beast off. However, Ju Chu was deeply shaken when he learned that people had celebrated his presumed death. He finally understood how much people hated him. Determined to change his ways, he left his hometown and traveled to Wu Commandery, seeking a mentor to guide him toward righteousness. At that time, Wu Commandery was home to two famous scholars, Lu Ji and Lu Yun. Ju Chu sought them out, but only Lu Yun was present. Sincerely repenting for his past actions, Ju Chu confessed, "I regret realizing my mistakes so late. I wasted my youth. Now, I wish to accomplish something meaningful, but I fear it is too late." Lu Yun encouraged him, saying, "Do not despair. As long as you have determination, your future holds great promise. The only thing to fear is a lack of will, not a lack of success." From troublemaker to respected official. From that day on, Ju Chu dedicated himself to study and self-discipline, learning under Lu Ji and Lu Yun. His transformation from a feared bully to a dedicated scholar and official earned widespread praise. Within a year, local governments began recruiting him. After the fall of Eastern Wu, Ju Chu became a high-ranking official in the Western Jin court, where he served as a just and diligent statesman. Legacy of Ju Chu. Ju Chu's dramatic transformation became a well-known historical tale, symbolizing how self-awareness and determination can lead to redemption. Even today, the phrase Ju Chu eliminates the three scourges is used metaphorically to describe someone removing major obstacles or reforming themselves for the better.